Sometimes, to enhance our general knowledge, we need to unlearn or correct misconceptions that we've taken for granted, rather than just learning new facts or references. Therefore, in today's video from Via Doctis, we will debunk myths, false beliefs, misconceptions, and urban legends, things that many people still consider valid and true, but in reality are not. Many of these misconceptions have become so deeply ingrained that it can be challenging to go against the grain and expose their fallacy. So today, we will attempt to dispel some of these false ideas that have permeated various fields. Let's start with number 1. Contrary to popular belief, Coca-Cola did not create the familiar image of Santa Claus. The image of Santa Claus that we all envision, a jolly old man dressed in red and white with a bushy white beard and rosy cheeks, took shape in popular culture and American advertising in the late 19th century, long before Coca-Cola utilized this representation in the late 1930s, and even before the company itself was established in 1892. This character is the product of an old European tradition that traces back to Saint Nicholas of Bari, who was renowned for his generosity. According to tradition, he would leave gifts for the needy in the form of coins placed in socks and stockings left to dry over fireplaces. However, it's important to note that while Coca-Cola did not create the image of Santa Claus, it did play a pivotal role in popularizing it. The company hired illustrator Haddon Sundblom to develop advertising images of Santa Claus starting in 1931. Sundblom's illustrations, which depicted Santa Claus enjoying a Coca-Cola, became a cornerstone of the company's Christmas campaigns and helped solidify the image we all recognize today. Moving on to number 2. Contrary to what many people believe, bats are not blind. In fact, bats have perfectly functional eyes, and despite their small size, they are adapted for night vision and can distinguish objects in total darkness. Therefore, they can see much better than humans at night. As for daytime vision, some bats can see during the day. Although their color vision may not be as sharp as that of humans, they do have the ability to distinguish chromatic differences. Recent studies have found that Philostomeds, a group of bats, can perfectly distinguish the chromatic differences of the ultraviolet spectrum during the day. This allows them, for instance, to recognize the colors of the flowers they feed on. So, even though they also have echolocation, the ability to navigate their spatial environment through the emission and reception of sounds, they still have the sense of sight at their disposal. Number 3. Contrary to popular belief, dying elephants do not leave their herd to die in an elephant graveyard. According to African mythology and popular legend, the elephant graveyard was a mythical place in Africa where it was believed that dying elephants went to spend their last days. This place was sought after during the 19th century by various explorers for the supposed ivory that would be found there. This exotic legend arose from the fact that elephant skeletons are frequently found near water sources. However, the reality is that elephants do not have a specific place to die. Elephant carcasses can accumulate in certain places, but this is more due to coincidence and circumstances than a deliberate choice, as they are migratory animals that travel great distances in search of water and food. In summary, although the idea of an elephant graveyard is fascinating and has captured the imagination of many people over the years, there is no scientific evidence to support its existence. Number 4. Contrary to popular belief, vomiting was not a Roman custom at parties and bacchanals to continue indulging in gastronomic excesses afterward. This famous image is nothing more than an urban legend that distorts reality to fit the idea of the decadence of the upper classes in the Roman world. Moreover, in the luxurious houses of the patricians where such parties were held, there were no vomitoriums. In ancient Rome, a vomitorium was an entrance or exit in theaters and other buildings through which the public entered and exited, not a room designated for evacuating food to return to the table and continue eating and celebrating. For example, in the Colosseum, there were a total of 76 general vomitoria. through which about 50,000 people could move from the outside of the building to their seats in the stands in about 15 minutes. However, it is important to mention that there were specific moments of excess and opulence associated with some emperors where the practice of vomiting occurred, but it was certainly not the norm, and definitely not a common feature at Roman banquets. Number 5. Our tongue does not have a localized part for each basic taste: sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami, as all taste buds in all parts of the tongue can detect all the different tastes. Although there may be slight variations in sensitivity to different tastes in different parts of the tongue, these variations are not significant. Therefore, the idea that each taste is detected in a specific area of the tongue is a myth. So when we saw images in school books, like the one you see on screen with a tongue map, they conveyed an incorrect idea of how this organ in our mouth actually works. Number 6. No ancient religious text specifies that the forbidden fruit in Genesis is an apple, as is often depicted in Western art. In the book of Genesis, which is part of the Jewish Torah and the Christian Old Testament, a tree and a fruit are mentioned, but the type of fruit is not specified. The idea that the forbidden fruit was an apple comes from an interpretation of the Latin word malus, which can mean both evil and apple. However, this is more the translator's understanding than an indication of the original intention of the text. Scholars have suggested several possibilities for the identity of the fruit, including wheat, grape, fig, and etrog, a variety of citron. Therefore, the representation of the fruit as an apple in Western art is a cultural interpretation, not a description based on ancient religious texts. Number 7. Bulls are not provoked by the red color of the capes used by bullfighters. In reality, this color does not elicit any specific emotion in them, nor does it directly influence their behavior. Therefore, we should not worry if we wear a red garment in the field and encounter a cow or a bull. In fact, bovines are dichromats, meaning they can perceive the light spectrum in only 2 primary colors, unlike humans, who are trichromats and can perceive 3 primary colors, allowing for greater chromatic discrimination. So the answer to the initial question would be no. For a bull, the color red does not stand out at all. When a bull charges, it is not the color of the cape, but rather the perceived threat in its environment that incites it to charge in self-defense. Number 8. Julius Caesar was not born via cesarean section. Although this procedure did exist at that time, it was generally fatal for the mother, and was only performed when a pregnant woman had died or was near death, as a last effort to save the child's life. In fact, Caesar's mother, Aurelia, lived until 54 BC, almost half a century after her son's birth. This erroneous claim likely arises from the fact that the word cesarean derives from the Latin verb cadere, meaning to cut. Therefore, we can confirm that the belief that Julius Caesar was born by cesarean section is a historical inaccuracy. Number 9. Some people believe that fish have a memory span of only 3 seconds. However, this is nothing more than a myth without any scientific basis, which has managed to spread globally. In reality, fish have much longer memories, which can span weeks, months, and even years. As various studies conducted with these intelligent animals have shown, they are apparently good at solving problems and recognizing and remembering other members of their species, even after a long period of separation. Additionally, certain species of fish, if they are caught by a hook from which they manage to free themselves, are capable of recognizing this trap later, and thus avoid falling into it again. Their ability to remember events in time and space has also been studied, demonstrating that certain species of fish can remember the location of objects and the spatial arrangement of their environment over extended periods of time. So, in reality, fish have a surprisingly good memory. Number 10. The Great Wall of China is not visible from space. The first reference to such a claim comes from William Stukeley, an English doctor, who mentioned in a letter written in 1754 that the Great Wall could be visible from the moon, more than 200 years before anyone could go there to verify it. Since we have indeed been to the moon, it is clear that the Great Wall of China is not visible from such a distance. Additionally, it is not visible to the naked eye for an astronaut in orbit aboard the International Space Station without the aid of tools like binoculars or cameras that can magnify the image. This is due to the wall's narrowness and its color, which blends with the surrounding landscape. In fact, in the image on the screen, you can see a satellite photograph that has been enlarged. And even so, the outline of the Great Wall is barely perceptible. Number 11. Croissants are not native to France, but to the city of Vienna, Austria. In 1683, during the siege of Vienna by the Ottoman Empire, the city's bakers, who worked at night, heard the noise of Ottoman soldiers attempting to tunnel under the city walls. The bakers raised the alarm, allowing the city to repel the attack. In response, the bakers created a pastry in the shape of a crescent moon, the symbol found on the Ottoman Empire's banners. This pastry spread throughout Europe, and eventually the French adopted it, naming it croissant, which means crescent in French. The first recorded use of the word croissant to refer to this type of pastry was in 1863 in the French dictionary Littré, with the first recipe published in France in 1905. Since then, the croissant has become an emblematic element of French bakery, despite its Austrian origins. Number 12. Contrary to popular belief, the North Star, Polaris, is not the brightest star in the sky. This widespread myth is false. In reality, Polaris ranks about 50th among the brightest stars visible in the sky. The 5 brightest stars in the night sky are Sirius, Canopus, Arcturus, Rigil Kentaurus, and Vega, respectively. What makes the North Star special is that the Earth's axis of rotation points almost directly toward it in the northern hemisphere, making it an excellent guide and reference point for navigation. However, it's important to note that the orientation of the Earth's axis is not fixed. The Earth wobbles like a top, causing the geographic North Pole to trace a circle in the sky over a period of 25,800 years. This means that the star aligned with the Earth's axis changes over time. Experts predict that in about 3,500 years, the star Eris will take Polaris's place as the North Star. Number 13. Contrary to popular belief, lemmings do not commit mass suicide by throwing themselves off cliffs during migrations to regulate their population. The scenes of lemming suicides seen in Disney's 1958 documentary White Wilderness popularized this idea, but it was actually a cinematic fabrication. In 1983, Brian Valley, a producer for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, revealed that the scene in White Wilderness had been staged. The lemmings were captured and transported to Alberta, Canada, a region outside their natural habitat. Using a rotating platform, the filmmakers propelled the lemmings toward the edge of a cliff, then edited the footage to simulate mass suicide with close-up shots. The truth is that there is no scientific evidence to support the idea of collective suicide among lemmings, although this documentary has perpetuated the myth. Many lemmings die during migrations, but it is due to the challenges they face, not an intent to commit mass suicide. Additionally, this false myth about lemmings is much older, likely dating back to the late 19th century. According to some sources, the Inuit of Norton Sound on the western coast of Alaska believe that lemmings descended from the stars to Earth in a spiral during snowstorms. Number 14. Shaving does not make hair grow back faster or stronger. This misconception has become popular because uncut hair tapers to a fine tip, giving it a softer appearance. When hair is cut, the blunt and thicker base is what grows out, which can give the impression of being thicker and rougher to the touch. This false impression is also partly due to the fact that short hair is less flexible than long hair. However, in reality, the thickness, color, and growth rate of hair do not change with shaving. Number 15. It is commonly believed that the SOS distress signal stands for Save Our Ship, Save Our Souls, or Send Out Succor. However, SOS is not an acronym for any specific phrase. It was simply designed to be easy to remember. The truth is that this sequence of letters was chosen because in Morse code it is very easy to transmit. 3 short pulses, 3 long pulses, and 3 short pulses, sent continuously without pauses. Due to its simplicity, it is less likely to be lost or misinterpreted due to interference, making it the most widely used distress signal internationally. And with the debunking of this final myth, we reach the end of today's video from Via Doctis. If you learned something new, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.